it's nowhere near Halloween. No power. Ain't got no power. So I thought, well, that's stunt shave time, right? And that's not really a stunt shave. We've shaved blindfolded before, so any amount of light. We did a shave by candlelight once. Here, I'm just pouring some whatever I'm using, the old PDP 63. So I had it soaking, so I'm using some of that soaking water. Try to soften up the old beard, because that's one of the problems I have is, well, it's gotten better with this kind of shaving, especially when I was using carts. If I didn't shave within like a minute of getting out of the shower, I could tell drastically. I was gonna say in the comfort level, it still wasn't comfortable, but less painful. If I could do it right away when the whiskers were soft, if I had to wait at all, it started to dry off immediately. That went away. So anyway, no, just a sink shower today. That'll be all right. I'll post a picture of our power company, the outages in the Bay Area. So there, I'm not doing up my lather. I just wanted to get some on my face again to soften stuff up, and then I need to change using the Rockwell 6S, just because this should provide a thoughtlessly wonderful shave with a new Wizamit blade. So I thought I'd change the blade while I'm letting my face soak. Yeah, so I guess they call them storms. I guess they're storms. I mean, it's not compared to a hurricane or whatever, so sometimes it seems a little silly. And one of the news stations here doesn't do us justice. They've got a storm scale that, you know, goes from 1 to 5, and if we're gonna have rain, that's storm scale 1. So it's not when they're saying storm scale, it's not call everything a storm, then it's like crying wolf, you know? All right. So anyway, we have had heavier than average rains combined with intense winds multiple times over the last couple months. And what that has done is, of course, softened the ground. And then you've got big trees that aren't used to having ground that soft, and big rains to push them over, and boom. We have blocked highways, blocked roads, power outages because of knockdown power lines. So we've been without power since like 3 o'clock yesterday. Except for when they shut off the power back years ago when we were dealing with the forest fires and such. They would preemptively shut off power in areas where it was going to be super windy, and they thought there was risk of the power line being pushed into trees. They could kind of predict that. Other than that, whenever our power has gone out, it's only been for a couple hours, so it's kind of new for us. Didn't really expect it. You know, like I said, this is not an area that usually the power goes out, so it's not like we thought, oh, big storms put our food in a cooler or anything. So I'll have to look up. I'm pretty sure we're at the point where all the food in the fridge is gone. I don't know about the freezer. So we will see. Oh, anyway, I was gonna say I'll post a picture of the outage map on the Cadre. So not only are there outages all over the Bay Area, but In our city, in our neighborhood, it's mostly with power, except there's this strip. Basically, there's a San Francisco airport and then, a big hill, and we live up on the hill. And there's a strip of power outages that kind of go from the highway down to the city by the airport. So there's obviously a grid there that's out. And we just happen to be right, not only in that line, but our next door neighbors have power. And everybody to the other side of us doesn't. So we're like the start of the outage. And I've played SimCity. I know how this works. If you just connect a power line and cross over to the place that has power, problem solved. So if they could just take care of that, that'd be great. So luckily, so we're not hurting. As far as we know, the school's got power, so the kids can go there. The in-laws have power. They're just up the street on the other side of the main road. And we've got light. I was at the drugstore last night picking something up, and two kids come running in and said, "Where are your flashlights?" And they said, "We're sold out." And the poor kids ran back outside to their dad, who was walking in, and they said, "They're all sold out." And he said, "Sure they are. Everybody in the area is probably getting flashlights." So I don't know. They could have been traveling or something. If they live here, then that's a little crazy. That's one thing, is that the first thing that I do is, well, now we've got phones with lights on them, but even so, I was texting the kids, make sure your phones are charged up at school before you come home. When the storm started hitting, it's finding at least one flashlight, making sure the batteries work and putting it where we can find it. And then, so we've got 4, they're lanterns. They're kind of obnoxious, actually. There are these gray lanterns, and you pull them up, and inside are these bright LED bulbs that just turn on automatically. But they're in your face. So they're in the living room. We'll put them up high just to have a little bit of light, but not the most pleasant things. But anyway, I'm just thinking, how unless you're traveling and either they're coming from a hotel or something, we've got flashlights all over the place, and I'm always, especially when you see them for like $1.99 and stuff like that, always tempted to buy even more. But, that wasn't bad. That was all right. Good little shaver. So my plan is I'm going to take everything I can to work today, all the iPads and computer and phone, and charge that all up. Because that's the other thing, is thinking about other places you've got batteries. If you've got a computer, you got a big battery there that can charge phones, and of course the car. We can always stick phones in there for a few hours to charge them up. Tons of batteries there. So, man, sorry. So I use PDP because Major Rich kind of mentioned it in a little comment. So he commented to me yesterday. I'm taking a watch, I guess it's a watch repair class. So yeah, I guess it's not a watchmaker class, but learn the parts of the watch, learn how to take one apart, clean it, put it back together again, that kind of stuff. And so I'd already started tinkering in that area. So I have some of the basic tools, but if you're going to do it right, you got to have more, and really not so much the tools, but pardon me, we also got a bug kind of going through the family. So I was starting to make a list on a website that sells that type of a thing, and not bad. It's like, you know, $8 for this, $5 for this. Well, that's what I got. I'm sure it's one of those things. They always say buy the best to start with, and then you don't have to rebuy. Yeah, that's really hard to do unless you know like a shop vac. Go use that for your whole life. Get a good one. What else would you spend good money on? Like a vacuum cleaner. There's some things like actual screwdrivers and ratchet sets. Don't get the really cheap ones if you're young, because you're using them your whole life, right? I don't know if I'll really be doing watch repair all that often. If I get into it, you know, the whole thing, you can buy watches less expensive because they don't work, and then fix them up. That's cool. Anyway, my point was being, some of these tools you can get for like $8 or $12 or $90, and it's like, well, if they remove what it needs to remove, once it's removed, does it matter if it costs me $12 or $90 to remove it? I'm sure the answer would be yes, with, I don't know, a certain skill level or complexity of watch. Look, we're almost out of pop. This moment of pop brought to you in the dark by Hombre's Barbershop, the sweetest smelling barbershop in Tucson. So anyway, I posted I'm gonna take this class. It's an online thing you pay for. And Major Rich said, hey, I'll take that with you, and we can talk about it and stuff like that. And so the the most expensive thing, which I really feel like they're getting you with this, that there's no way it can be this hard to make or expensive. There's different lubricants you need, because you know the parts are super tiny. So I'm sure the lubricant is super thin. But there's 3 levels, at least to start with. Again, when you get into it, there's much more than that. But you need a very thin one for the very small, light parts, and then like a thicker one for the parts that are a little bit heavier and maybe metal on metal kind of wear, and then like almost a paste is, that's not the right word, but for where the main spring is, you got to put a little bit in there. And that takes a special, so you got to buy these 3 lubricants if you're going to clean the watch and take all the lubricant and oils off and then redo it. Those are nuts. They are not. They're like, again, for the cheaper one of them for 2 ounces were like $40. And what am I doing now? I think I want to go charge up the car more on the way to work. So anyway, I was asking Rich if he had bought his lubricants or if he's, got a better source, because they're super expensive. And he said, yeah, but once you get them, they'll last as long as PDP 63. So yeah, I mean, I warn off the number. When you buy it, there's a 63 on here. I've actually used it enough to wear it, but look at how much is in there. Almost, if you didn't know there was a 63 on there, it looks full already. And I've had this thing for years and years and years. Why don't they do that? And Cadre guys are doing using a full puck of Williams without stopping. Why don't you? I wonder if 63 would last you longer. Anyway, there we go. I'm glad my mount has the lantern hanging from it and the phone, so that's doing pretty good. We need a scent. So yeah, let's Barber Dave's been trying to sway people away from Penhaligons. Yeah, he's gonna yell, say, no, just the new Penhaligons sucks, not the old Penhaligons. But I think Racket is a new scent, and I like that one. I used Sartorial yesterday. Let's find another one with a ribbon on it. I say that because you get the little ribbon on your. It's very pretty. So this is Blenheim Bouquet. No, we're not doing this. It's dark, it's cold. That's a bright, we'll do Endymion. One of the manly darker. Every time I put this on, I remember when Penhaligons actually had stores. They had one in they did have one in San Francisco, but they also had one at the Stanford Mall. We went to that one, and the sales lady said, that's sex in a bottle. Well, you need that. Do you need sex in a bottle? I guess anywhere is fine. All right, that's it. I'm gonna get out of here. See you on the forums.